नमस्सुन्दरनाथाय तस्मै हालास्य वासिने चतुष्षष्ठि विदालीला एनाकारि भुवस्तले श्रीमत्सुन्दरनाथस्य देवीं शपरलोचनां कलये हृदये नित्यं कदम्ब वनवासिनीं पूतं स्वतः पूततरं ततो यद्गाङ्गं वयः शङ्करमौलिसङ्गात् तत्पातु मातुः प्रणयापराध पादाहते पूततमं ततो नः. In the third Sarga, we are looking at Vritrahatya Leela, which is the first Leela of Parameshwara. And the story so far is how Indra was discussing with his ministers or the Dikpalakas, the other 7 Dikpalakas, and he decided to go and kill Vritrasura, who was Pratidinam Saha Vardhamanaha Asite iti Karanat. In order to obstruct him, in order to stop him from becoming too powerful, he wanted to go and kill him, and he was looking for the right opportunity to kill him. Tattu adhuna tapak karoti iti karanat. It is easier. Nirashrayaha saha. There is nobody to protect him also, so it will be easier to go and kill him. So deciding, Indra goes and kills him. Now, after that, immediately the hatya or the killing, the crime, the papam that is associated with killing a Brahmin's son or a Brahmin, Brahma Hatya ityuktam. So that is called Brahma Hatya, and that took on a form in the form of a shadow. Chaya Rupena, it was constantly following Indra after that. So he comes to Sudharma after killing Vritrasura. All the devas are overjoyed to see Indra after doing such a great task, which is for the good of the devas. That's what they were also thinking, right? So Yatha Raja Tatha Prajaha. So however the king is going to be, that is how the subjects will also follow in the same attitude. If the king is good and dharma chintanam asti chet tasya, then the prajanam api dharma chintanam vartate eva. Kintu atra tu adharma tatha apathe chalan asti Indraha. So he is going in the wrong path, and the prajaha, they also think that their actions would also be sanctioned because the king is also moving in such a wrong path. But this Vritra Hatya, even if this is probably the difference between Devas and Asuras, which I think, see, if Indra was not feeling guilty, this Hatya would not take a form and follow him. It probably shows his guilt in killing a person who was doing tapas and all that, and that's why it was following him, and he was well aware of it. If it was an Asura, he would be so engulfed in his tamogunam that he would not distinguish and think about the vivekitvam, that is kartavyam va akartavyam va iti tatha chinta naiva bhavet asurasya. Tasmat, it was probably, even if they have killed many people, such hatya will not take a form, or papam will not take a form and follow them. Probably that is the difference between the two. And I think it is because Indra was feeling ashamed of his actions and he was feeling guilty that this Vritra Hatya took on a form and started following him. Now he moved from forest to forest, Vipinad Vipinam, Girim Giribhyaha, Jalarashehe Jalarashim. He also moved from one lokam to another lokam, but still this Vritra Hatya did not leave him at all. He was continuously followed by this. Nipunam sapurandaro vililye sarasikwapi saroja nala tantau shatashaha samupatta saptatantoho avalambaya babhuva kopitantuhu. At the end, he decided he had to go and hide in some tiny place. So he found one sarojam. Saroja is a lotus. Saroja nala, lotus stalk. And inside those lotus stalks, you will find small threads that are there. Just as how in banana stalk also you can take out threads from that, in the same way, this is a even more tender stalk of the lotus, which has a lot of strands there, and some kopitantuhu, some strand became a avalambam, became a support for him who had performed 100 sacrifices and who was the Trailokya Adhipatihi. in this shloka. We finished with this shloka, and he uses a very clever expression here for Sapta Tantu is a synonym for yagam, sacrifice, where the sacrificial fire, Agni, Yaga Agni is supposed to have 7 jihva, and those are the sacrifices which he had done, 100 of those, to come to this Indra Padavi. So if you take the literal meaning, it means one who has hundreds of 7 threads. Still, only one small thread became his support. But it actually means yagam. He had done 100 sacrifices and he had come to this position. But today he had to go and hide himself well inside the thread of a lotus stalk in some lake. So nobody could find him. Even if they found him, they could not make him come out of it. Now from the next shloka, we have Nahusha Vrittantam. Nahusha looks at this situation in Swargam and he decides that, okay, now there is an opportunity for me to become the Indra, become a king here. So this story of Nahusha starts from shloka 15. Avalokya tadantaram chikirshan Nahusho nama nrupodhikaram indram aniyantrikata vishadamagnaihi anumene kathamapyamartya lokaihi. Avalokya tat antaram chikirshan Nahushaha nama nrupaha adhikaram aindram aniyantrikata vishadamagnaihi anumene kathamapi amartya lokaihi. All the devas have to accept the rule of Nahusha. Otherwise, he cannot go there and rule. Okay? But then he also had to complete yagas. Now, Nahusha, looking at this opportunity, tad antaram avalokya. Antaram ityukte tatra sakshat chidram ityeva. In Raghuvamsham, in the 12th Sarga, Viproshita Kumaram tad, Rajyam Astamiteshwaram Randhranveshana Dakshanam Dvisham Amishatam Vyaya. When Dasharatha had passed away and Rama was banished from Ayodhya, Randhranveshana Dakshanam, that entire Ayodhya, the city of Ayodhya and the country, of course, the Desham also was a target for a lot of enemies who were looking for Randhra, holes, loopholes, in order to get in and attack. So Randhra Anveshana Dakshanam Dvisham Shatrunam Amishatam Yayo. It is like a meat or a prey. So the moment how hunting birds work is they keep watch over their prey, and the moment they find an opportunity, find a loophole, they will immediately pounce on that prey and take it. This is very similar here. So tad antaram avalokya. Antaram literally means space, empty space. So here simhasanetu antaram asit avakashaha asit iti drishtva avalokya. Parantu atra antaram iti, you can take it as na kevalam chidram, you can take it as an opportunity. Okay? Sandarbham avalokya Nahushasyapi tatra Aindram Adhikaram Chikirshan. He wanted to reign over the entire 3 worlds. Tasya asha nasti chet, then it's okay. There are many kings in the in Puranas who have performed 100 yagas. Like for example in Bhagavatam, one such king is Prithu Maharaja. He performs 100 yagas, and at the end of the just before he could complete the last Ashwamedha Yagam, Indra comes and steals the Yajna Pashu and he runs away. So this is a common thing. Indra does not want anybody to come to his position, but Prithu was never interested in taking up that position. Whereas in contrast, if you think of what happened to Bali, Bali also wanted to perform 100 yagas. The sons of Shukracharya advised him to perform the yaga, and he also performed hundreds of those yagas, and he reigned over the 3 worlds. Then Vishnu had to take up the avataram of Vamana, and he took back all of those that belonged to the Devas. Now, not every king would have that asha. They would have that desire to rule all three worlds. Whereas here, Nahusha wanted to do that. Chikirshan kartum icchan. Kim kartum icchan? Aindram adhikaram kartum icchan. Aindraha adhikaraha indrasya ayam. That which belonged to Indra. So Aindram adhikaram, the power or rule. He wanted to take up the position, adhikaram, of Indra. Aindram adhikaram chikirshan kartum icchan. Tari trailokya adhipatyam kartum icchan saha nahushaha nama nripaha. He was accepted by the devas. So the sentence is such that tad antaram avalokya aindram adhikaram chikirshan nahusho nama nripaha kathamapi amartyalokaihi anumene. So Nahusha was anumene accepted by amartyalokaihi. Martyaha, those who have death. Marana yuktaha eva martyaha. Amartyaha itukte devaha, suraha. So amartya lokaihi. Lokaha atra, it's not the physical world, but lokaha is samuhaha. So amartyanam samuhaihi kathamapi atikashtena or agatika gatiktaya. They did not ananya gatya. They did not have any other source here. Nobody could come and rule them. They needed a ruler, and so there was one who wanted to rule. He was very happy to take up this position. So amartyalokaihi kathamapi anumene. He was accepted by the devas kathamapi with great difficulty. Now the adjective for the devas is aniyantrikata vishada magnaihi. They were also very sad because one is niyantrikata. He just generally mentions this word aniyantrikata. So niyantrikaha is a person who controls. Niyachati, bhumim niyachati iti, so or prajaha niyachati iti niyanta, shasta. One who rules is a niyanta. So niyantrikaha is also sayeva niyantrikaha. So whoever is the niyanta, it is the same word with a kapratyayam. So niyantrikaha ityapi nripaha ityeva. Niyantrikata tasya bhavaha. So the attitude of ruling aniyantrikata ityukte sa na vidyate tesham. So the devas did not have, there was an absence of rule for the devas. So one is they did not have the bhavam. Devanameva tatra niyantritva adhikaraha na vidyate athava tesham tadrasha bhavaha na asti. They did not have that power to rule over the three worlds. So tesham amartyanameva niyantrikata na vidyate. They did not have the capacity to rule all three worlds, or there was no concept of rule among the world. So which is aniyantrikata here would mean nobody was ruling as such. There was no concept of that niyantritvam anywhere there. Okay, so aniyantrikataya vishadha. So because there is no rule, because there was nobody who could rule, they were all very sad. Vishadaha. And vishade magnaha, vishada magnaha. So aniyantrikata vishada magnaha amaraha. But they were immersed in the grief of the absence of a rule. Okay. If you please lower your hand so that at the end I will give some space for the questions, definitely, and we will look at it then. Or you can put it in the question box and I will address it as I teach, if you can. Otherwise, you can unmute yourself at the end. I'll give you an opportunity. Avalokya tadantaram chikirshan nahusho nama nripaha aindram adhikaram aindram chikirshan. He wanted to rule. He wanted to take up the position of Indra, and so Nahusho nama nripaha, he was accepted. Anumene, he was accepted by the devas, who were all totally magnaha. They were completely immersed in vishada, the grief or dukkham. because they did not have any ruler among them, or they did not have a proper rule existing at all. Okay. So, avalokya tadantaram chikirushan nahusho naman drupodhikara maindram aniyantrikata vishadamagnai ranumene kathamapyamartya lokaihi. But he had to, the rule still stands that he had to perform 100 Ashwamedha Yagas. So this performing 100 Ashwamedha Yaga to attain Indra position is mentioned here and there in many places, but it is not mentioned as a rule as such. It was not a hard and fast rule in the Vedic texts, but it slowly, during the Purana texts, you find that it has become an accepted norm, because Indra, many a times Indra has stopped people from completing the 100 yagas. Okay, there are kings who have performed the 100 yagas but have no interest in ruling the three worlds. They wanted to be in Bhumi only. So that also we find in the Puranas. Ayatavad anushtita ashwamedhaha kiyatacha eshaha divam gataha shubhena prabhutam api vartayan suranam prakritim swam najahau tamah pradam. He may have performed 100 yagas. Even though he did not perform it in the proper manner. See, whatever yagam you do, it should either be towards that particular goal. So Ashwamedha Yagam is done for either putra ityadi samriddhi. Samriddhyartam eva tatra Ashwamedha Yagaha kriyate. And it is also done for the Rajya Samriddhyai eva, Prajanam Samriddhyai. And this is not with Indra Padavi in mind. Even if it is performed with the Indra Padavi in mind, it should be performed with a proper manner. Whereas here, he says, the Kavi states here. So you should understand that there are a lot of differences from Puranas to Kavyam. So Kavi has the liberty of changing the story in order to suit his style and suit the Kavyam style. So in Kavyam, you have to have some very clear-cut differences. In the sense, Nahusha, you have to paint him as a really bad person, so that it is an advantage for the story, flow of the story. He may have performed properly, he may have performed all 100 Ashwamedha Yagas, so he became eligible to take up the position of Indra. But then, to build up the character of Nahusha as a villainous character, in the Kavyam we find the poet starting off from the beginning itself. Yathavat anushtita ashwamedaha na asti saha. So ayathavat anuchita rupena anushtitaha ashwamedaha yena saha. So one who has performed Ashwamedha Yagas in an inappropriate manner. Ayathavat anuchitam yatha syat tatha tena anushtitaha ashwamedaha. But then how did he reach Swargam? Kiyata shubhena. There was some little alpa punyam. Kiyat has two meanings or many meanings. Maybe one is, you can say kiyata shubhena can mean, so how much punyam did he do to attain Swargam? So he must have done a lot of punyam to attain Swargam. But here, going with what the poet is trying to say, I would take the meaning as alpam. Kiyat can be, to indicate that it is an alpa vishayam that he made, and that gave him a huge position, as if that is Indra's position. So kiyata shubhena kenachita alpena iva punyena eshaha divam gataha swargam gataha praptaha suranam cha prabhutam vartayan api. Even though he was continuously divangataha sanna, we went to Swarga, and then Suranam cha prabhutam vartayan api, even though he was the ruler of the Devas, Suranam prabhuta swamitvam. So even though he was exhibiting his command, vartayan, he was exhibiting bhavayan athava pradarshayan. So saha swaswamitvam yadyapi pradarshayan asit tathapi tasmin kachana tamah pradhana prakritihi asit. There was still some his prakriti, his swabhavam was completely tamah pradhanam, and he could not let go of that prakriti, his swabhava. So two things. One is he had done a lot of Ashwamedha Yaga, even though Anuchita Rupena, even though he had done it inappropriately, still probably he did it with an arrogant attitude, not in the method aradhana krame athava yaga karmasu yaha kramaha vidyate tatra tu prayaha tatra pramadaha na asit tasya, but then it could have been in his manas. So ayathavat, the inappropriateness could have been in his manasikam and not in his kramam, sharirika krama, right? He could have performed all the Ashwamedha Yaga properly, but then his mind would have had an arrogant attitude, in the sense he would have wanted to rule. Purvasmin shloke tu tathaiva uktam kalu. Chikirshan, Aindram adhikaram chikirshan. He had that interest to become an Indra. So that attitude with which he performed was probably an issue. Parantu kiyata shubhena. He also had a little bit of punya phalam in him, which made him to go to Sarga. After that, he also could rule over the devas. Suranam cha prabhutam vartayan api. Even though he became the king, he couldn't let go of that prakriti that was there in him, which is tamah pradhanam, tamoguna mukhyam prakritim swabhavam, satu na jahau, na atyajat. He did not leave it. He was continuing to be. And there is one swarasyam here. I'm sure a lot of people would have noticed when you see the word divam gataha. Divam gataha is generally a word that we use for maranam praptaha iti. So this is an indicatory thing. Usually it is not used in proper ways. It is an amangala dosham. It is an ashlila dosham. But this has actually a gunapaksham. This is actually a gunam here, in the sense that it is showing, it is indicating that Nahusha is going to have a fall. Tasya adhogatim suchayati. Tasmad atra dosho nasti. Divam gataha iti yadyapi maranarthakatvam vartate atra. Atra tu gunapaksha eva svikurmaha. Just as a it is an indicatory thing that he is definitely going to he is going to go to a state which is equal to marana. That's why he uses the word. I mean, divam, he could have used so many other words. I'm sure Nilakanta Dikshita has the kosha in his mind to use some word or the other here instead of divam gataha. But divam gataha specifically means maranam praptaha iti. And it's very appropriate for Nahusha here. He is going to get into that state later. Ayathavat anushtita ashwamedhaha kiyata cha yesha divangata shubhena prabhutam api vartayan suranam prakritim swam na jahau tamah pradhana prithivim anushasata. Now this, from this shloka, it shows how that tamah pradhana prakriti worked in Nahusha. He may have done a lot of punyam. He may have gone to Swargam to rule over all the devas, but still he could not leave his nature that was predominantly tamas. Now this tamah pradhanam prakritim aduna varnayati kavihi. So in the first thing, what is the first object of a king who starts his rule? The first object should always be prajaha, the subjects. And what is the good for praja hitam tu atra katham vartate? In contrast, before we start this, in the first sarga of Raghuvansham, while describing Dilipa, he says, Jugopa atmanam atrastaha bheje dharmam anaturaha agridhnuhu adade saha artham asakta sukam anvabhut iti. A king, this is how a king should behave. He should protect himself, not because he is afraid. Saha Dilipaha Atmanam Jugopa. He protected himself, not atrastaha, without being afraid. He protected himself. He is a king, and if he protects himself, he will be in a position to protect the entire kingdom. And so he protected himself, not out of fear. He performed dharma not because he was aturaha, anaturaha, without being a rogi. The moment we all suffer from diseases, that is when we will want to do some dharmam, charity. We will take up prayaschittam, go to tirtha yatra, etc., etc. Until we are unafflicted, we are not bothered about what actions are dharma purvakam athava etattu adharma purvakam karyam va iti chinta eva na vartate asmakam. Parantu Dilipasya Anaturaha Dharmam Bheje. He performed dharma without even being sick. So there was no motivation for him, the personal motivation for him to do dharma. The only thing is dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. That was his mind. The next two are what we will need here. Agridhnuhu artham adade. Agridhnuhu alubdha. He was not greedy. When he was taking all the wealth in the form of tax from the subjects, he was not feeling greedy there. Agridhnuhu artham adade. And the way he enjoyed sukham asaktaha, without being attached to the sukham, he enjoyed sukham. Asaktaha sukham anubhavut. This is how an ideal king should be. Dilipa was an ideal king, and Kalidasa explains that. This is totally in contrast to that. Now, first is Prajahitam, right? So, Prajahitam itself relies on rains, proper rains. Only if there is proper rains, then you will have Annam, and from that Annam you have Bhutani. Annad Bhavanti Bhutani. Annad Bhavanti Bhutani, Parjanyat Anna Sambhavaha, Yajnat Bhavati Parjanyaha, Yajnaha Karma Sambudbhavaha. This is there in Gita 3:14. So, from yajnaha karma samudbhavaha, karma, any action that the prajas do, or their purva janma karma prompts them to do yajna, sacrifice. Yajnat parjanyaha bhavati. When you do perform sacrifices properly, havis goes to that respective devatas, and they are very happy because of the havis they get. That is their food, which comes from this oblation, from this sacrifice, and then they give rains. It is Indra's adhikaram. He has the adhikara over Parjanyam, and Varsha. Parjanyam is Varsha. So he has the adhikaram over rains, and he makes the rains happen. So Yajnat Bhavati Parjanyaha ityukte, Yajna Karmanaha, from that Yajna, Indra takes the havis to, Agni takes the havis to that particular devatas, gives it to them, and gives a portion to Indra also. And Indra ensures that there are rains. Parjanyat Anna Sambhavaha. From the rains you have Annam, food. And Annat Bhutani Bhavanti. We need something for survival. If there are no rains, there is no Bhutani. There are no living beings in the world. Now, what did this Nahusha do? He first stopped that rain. That too, he decided when he was ruling before, Prithivim Anushasatav Pura, ye ripavaha tasya mahi bujaha babuvuhu, adhuna vishayeshu asau amisham asishat varimucho na varshata iti. Adhuna, so Prithivim Anushasataha Pura before, when Nahusha was ruling the country. So Prithivim Anushasataha tasya Nahushasya. Katham bhutaha Nahushaha sahatu Prithivim Anushasad asit. He was ruling the Bhumi before Pura. Prithivim Anushasataha tasya. This is a Shatranta padam, Anushasataha, and it is an adjective to tasya here. So when he was ruling the Prithvi before, ye mahi bhujaha tasya ripavaha asan. So you can take this ripavaha, the tasya again here also. Okay, you can have this in this place also. So pura prithivim anushasataha tasya ye mahi bhujaha ripavaha asan. Athava ye mahi bhujaha tasya shatravaha babuvuhu. When he was ruling, he made a lot of enemies. So those kings who were his enemies, now he decided in those countries there should not be rain. The rain was under his control here. Adhuna amisham vishayeshu, amisham esham. esham jananam, esham nripanam. So asau, amu, ami, this is adas shabda, shashti bahuvachanam. So amisham nripanam vishayeshu, vishayaha is deshaha. Yeah, I had given that Amarakosham also. Nivriti janapadaha desha vishayau tu upavartanam. All of these are synonyms for deshaha, country. Janapadaha, nivriti, vishayaha, upavartanam. These are all synonyms for this thing. Okay. So sorry. So vishayeshu, amisham vishayeshu, in these people's countries, asau na varshata iti asau varimuchaha ashishat. Na varshata, do not give rains, do not rain. Iti asau nahushaha varimuchaha ashishat. Varimuk is varim munchanti iti varimuk. So varimuch is chakaranta. So varimuchaha ashishat is dvitiya bahuvachanam here. So he ashishat, he ordered, or he ordered the clouds, or he threatened the clouds. Ashishat vandu shas edukku varudhu therla. Oru nimasham, I need to check the dhatu for that. I forgot to check that. I'll check and let you know. So ashishat, it can also mean threaten, or it can also mean ordering. So he threatened the clouds to not shower in the countries of those kings who were his enemies before, when he was ruling the earth. So pura prithivim anushasatav pura ye ripavaha tasya mahi bhujo babhuvuhu adhuna vishayeshu asau amisham ashishat varimucho na varshata iti. Now, so this is Jagat Chakra Pravritti happens. The Brahmanda Chakrasya Pravrittistu Pradhamam Parjanyanaiva Tatra Bhavati. So Bhulokavasinam Aduna Parjanya, when he says stop the rains, you should not rain in this particular country, don't rain in this particular country, whether they have performed yagas or not, it doesn't matter to Nahusha. If he says do not rain, then they have to stop. Okay, so his adhikaram was such that. Now, what happens for those people in Bhulokam? This becomes a problem. Now, there is a problem for Swargavasinam api tatra ahitam bhavati. Tesham, now he removed the food from the Bhulokavasi. Now he is removing the food from the Swargalokavasi. Also, in the next two shlokas, he shows how that is. Ahamasmi abhivarshukaha prajanam yajaniyascha tato ahameva tasam kaime havishaha makhe naranam iti sarvan ayam akshipat sudhasham. Ahameva prajanam abhivarshukaha asmi. Now in the earlier shloka we saw that he is the one who says whether it has to rain or not. Tarhi sayeva abhivarshukaha ityukte varshana karta. He is the one who is the rain maker, rain provider. Right? Abhivarshukaha. For whom? Prajanam. Bhumisthanam jananam. Ahameva varshanakarta asmi. Iti nahushasya manasi. Tatra. Tataha. Hence. Ahameva tasam yajaniyaha cha. So I am the person who has to be pleased, or to whom the sacrifices have to be done. They should not do the sacrifices for Indraya idam namama, Agnaya idam namama, ityadikam tu kartavyam. Ahameva yajaniyaha. In fact, I think the same thing happens with Hiranyakashipu also. He says all of the Vedas, the sacrifices that have to be done, should be performed only to Hiranyakashipu. The same way here also Nahusha says that because I am the person who is the provider for all the people. Ahameva yajaniyaha. I am the person who has to be yagena prinayitavyaha iti. Naranam makhe havishaha ke ime. Ke ime devaha. Ke ime ityukte, who are these people for this havis? Havishaha iti shashti vibhakti tatra. Yaga dravyasya grahaka rupena ke ime iti. Who are these people to take or to receive this havis, sacrificial offering that is given in the sacrifices, which is done by Naranam. So Naranam Makhe, Manushyanam Yage, Yaga Dravyasya Swikartaraha Bhavitum Ke Ime. Who are these? Devas. Na kepi. So they do not have the, they cannot be the recipients of this oblation because they don't do anything. I am the one who is providing everything. Tatha Nahushaha Vadati. So Sarvan Sudhashan Ayam Akshipat. Iti Sarvanu Sudhashan Ayam Akshipat. Evam iti evam prakarena Saha Ayam Nahushaha Sarvan Sudhashan. Sudhashaha is Sudham Ashnati iti Sudhashaha. One who literally eats nectar. So apparently, what is given in the Agni that takes on the form of Havis, that Havis takes on the form of Sudha for them, it seems. You can say that also. That is one explanation. Or that is the food for them. And so the other food for them is Sudhashaha. They have their nectar that is enough. Why do they need this also? Havishaha yagat yad havihi vartate tasya. Why should they eat that? They already have Sudha, right? They don't need this. So I will be the one who will take all of this. Iti akshipate ani nindati. So he says this. If you look at the Gita shlokam that I said last time, yajnat bhavati parjanyaha. So yajnam, which is performed here, the result of that, even the yagam is not done in the proper manner. He puts a stop to even that yagam, and it is not done with the proper channel. There may be some loopholes where some people might defy him and do the yagas to the proper people. So here he says they should not be getting anything. First of all, I am the one who provides. So people should only give the oblations to me in the yagam. So yagena prinayitabhyaha ahameva natu anye devaha. Suppose if anything happens and someone actually provides Havis to the proper devata that is prescribed in the Vedas and not to Nahusha, then what happens? Angiyo tadangalda. So even there, even in that place, Nahusha comes in between and takes all those Havis. Savanopanatam havihi samastam mai samvedaya madgrihita shesham pratipadaya tasya paschat iti moodha prashashasa havyavaham. Moodhaha saha evam rupena moodhaha aviveki kartavya agnyaha saha. So moodhaha nahushaha aviveki nahushaha havyavaham evam prashasa. Shashasa shashasa is ruling. Prashashasa can mean he told him in clear terms, prakarashena shashasa iti adishat. So he ordered Agni, who is the Havyavaha, Havyam Vahati iti. Agni, one who is the carrier of the oblation. So whatever we do, even if the Devata comes in front of us as we are doing the sacrifice, we can't take this Havis and give it to them. It has to be put in the Agni. Agni parishuddhatvenaiva tatra devanam haste datavyam natu asmabhihi sakshat datavyam. Right? Now, how does he order Agni? He says, Savana opanatam samastam havihi. Savanam yagam. So, yageshu, savaneshu upanatam dattam. Yageshu yadyad havihi dattam diyate. Tat sarvam samastam havihi. Sarvam havaniyad dravyam. Mayi samvedaya. Mayi nahushe. Samvedaya arpaya. You will have to offer all of the oblations given in the sacrifices only to me. Mayi. Madgrihita shesham. Mama grihitat shesham avashishtam yadyad bhavati tasya pratipadaya. Tasya itukte havishaha grahakaha yaha devaha vartate tasya tasmai datum shakyate. So you can go and give it to that particular devata only after whatever is remaining after I have taken. So he might decide to just take it completely. There may be some people who wanted to please Nahusha, so they would have given the oblation only to the Nahusha. So he would take the whole thing, no matter what is prescribed in the Vedas. So he would have taken everything. If he suddenly decides, okay, these people do not need any of the harvest, he would not give anything at all. Only if there is something remaining. Mad grihita shesham. Anything that is remaining after I have taken, you can go and give it to each recipient. Tasya itikte tasya sarvasya grahakasya pratipadaya prapaya. You can ensure that it reaches to the other people only after I have taken. Iti moodha, that fool ordered Agni. So savanopanattam havihi samastam mai samvedaya madgrihita shesham pratipadaya tasya paschat iti moodha prashashasa havyavaham. Udadhe surasindutoya purnat udapadyanta yad adbhutaha padarthaha tadiyam nipunam vishodhaniya iti akhilam gangam avakirat satoyam. The first step is food. So he stopped the food of Bhumi Janaha and he also stopped the food of Swarloka Vasinaha. So Swarloka Vasinam food also he stopped, and he also obstructed the rains in certain places in Bhumi. Now the next is, after food, is Jivika. Jivika, or you can also say Dhanam. When there is Samriddhi, the next thing that we think about is Dhanam. There are different Adbhuta Padarthaha which come from the ocean. So now his attention has turned towards Artham. Probably this is first one is Dharma, and then now he goes on to Artham. Oh, I could look at it that way also. Very nice. So Dharma Pradhanatvam to in Veda, sacrifices are enjoined as part of Dharma. The next one is Artham. How do you collect Artham? Right? So here, Agridhnuhu Arthamadade, in Dileepa's case, he took wealth from people without feeling greedy about it. He did not want more and more. He only wanted as much as he could provide that back to the people in form of civic health. Okay. So, and the infrastructure of the city probably. He just spent it on the people back. Whereas here, he was avaricious. He was very greedy and he wanted everything for himself. Udadehe surasindu toya purnat udadehe yat yasmat karanat. You have yat tat here, yasmat karanat, tasmat karanat. Now he saw that there are a lot of wonderful things which have been which come out of the ocean. Udadehe adbhutaha padarthaha utpadyante. Udapadyanta is in lang lakara here. So utpadyante, he sees that there are many adbhuta padarthaha, many wonderful things that are born from the ocean. Udadehe. Kidrishaha udadihi sura sindhu toya purnaha udadihi. The udadi, ocean, which is purnam, filled with the waters, toyam, of sura sindhu, Ganga. He sees that Ganga goes and empties herself into this ocean constantly every day. So Surasindhu Toya Purnat, Gangayaha Jalena, Puritat, Samudrat, Adbhutav Padarthaha Utpadyante, they are coming out every day. Tarihi, she is keeping something, hiding something from me, so she has to be examined properly. He decides. She's not giving anything to her, to Nahusha. Ganga is now giving everything to Samudram. So he wanted to examine her properly. Tadiyam nipunam vishodhaniya. So she ought to be well examined. Like this search in airport searches, no? So Tadiyam nipunam vishodhaniya iti, what he did, Akhilam Gangam Avakirat. Akhilam Gangam Toyam Saha Avakirat. Avakirat ityukte bahihi nishkasayamasa. He took out all of the waters. Avakirat, he took it out and spread it. So that he wanted to see what is there inside the Ganga. Akhilam Gangam Toyam, the entire waters of Ganga, he completely drained those waters in order to find out if she is hiding something inside. So he examined her really well. These are all the poets idea to portray Nahusha in that manner. Okay, so whether he really did it or not, don't ask me for Purana references. I don't think there are any Puranic references to this. This is the poet's way of building character. Okay. So tadiyam nipunam vishodaniya iti akhilam gangam toyam saha avakirat. The தூர் வாடுறதுன்னா மண்ணை மாத்திரம் எடுக்கிறது. இங்க வந்து கம்ப்ளீட்டா ஜலத்தை இறக்கிறது. He totally removes it, like as if it is a small canal of water where you can just remove all of that water or take out the water from the well if it is poisoned, right? So tatha evam gangam toyam saha avakirat ityukte nishkasayati. He takes it out and drains it completely to check how come only Samudra has all of these Adbhuta Padartha. If they are there in Surasindhu, then it belongs to Suranameva Tatra Prathama Adhikaraha Vartate Tasyaha. Tari whatever is present in Ganga, it has to belong to the Adhipati, right? In Devi Mahatmyam, Adhyaru Shumba Nishumba story, I think, when he comes, Dutana Varvane, yaraduma, completely forget the names suddenly. He comes, and when he explains to Devi, she is Chandika is so beautiful, and the Asura, he wants to marry her, right? So he sends a Duta and says every Sreshta Vastu in the world is present with this Asura, and you are Stri Ratnam. You are the best among women, and so your place is only beside Shumbha. So you will have to come here. He says, so it's like that, right? If anything, if there is any vastu that is adbhutam, that has to stay only with the adhipati, not with samudram, someone else. So udadehe surasindhutoya purnad udapadyanta yad adbhuta padarthaha tadiyam nipunam vishodhaniya iti akhilam gangam avakirat satoyam. Okay. Any questions? You can raise your hand. Namaste. You can unmute.
Namaste, Mahode.
Namaste.
Nahushaha purvam Indra padavyam kaha asit aduna kaha asti.
Nahusha Indraha eva asti. So Indra padavi ityasti, parantu but Indra is there. No, see, Indra is one of the devas there. So he is the primary deva who is the ruler there.
Indra padavi, Indrasya padavim kaha asit, tasya nama api Indraha va.
Indraha eva. Purandaraha, Vajrahastaha, Vritraha, kimapi va bhavatu nama. But he has many names, and he is the person who was ruling. The others can go to his position. Indrasya sthanam swikartum shakyate tena. Yadi, if he completes Shatam Ashwamedha Yaga. He can displace of Indra. Sorry.
Aduna kaha asti Indra padavyam.
Indraha eva prayaha sarvada bhavati. I am not sure about that. There is also this thing. Naushanantaram tu Indraha eva punaha agataha tatra. Sayeva agataha. There are times when he has provided ardhasanam for people. So if they finish 100 yagas, he comes and sits beside them. Tatha asti eva. Okay?
Dhanyawad.
Namaste. Dhumralochanan. Okay. The Devi Matakkan. Namaste.
Namaste, Mahode.
Namaste.
Namaste, Mahode.
Prashna. Nahushanka.
Tell me. Shankari Mahode.
Namaste, Mahode.
Namaste.
Nahushaha evam Indra padavyam stitva dosham krutavan ityatah पुनः तस्य दोहपतनम् अभवत् किल वृष्टि मा भूत् एवं सर्वं कृतवान् एतद् ज्ञातवता इन्द्रेण अपि तथैव आचरितं किल कृष्ण यदुकुलजनाः गोकुलजनाः बिभ्यन्ति भयम् अनुभवन्ति वयं यदि न तस्य पूजां न कुर्मः सः वर्षं न ददाति तथा
up and down punah tasya bhavedeva. Indra, if you look at the entire charitam of Indra, whatever incidents that you see, there is always an up and down for those people. This is to show that Swarga is no better than Bhulokam here.
नहुषः वस्तुतः उत्तमः इन्द्रपदवीं प्राप्नोति चेत् एवं स्वभावपरिवर्तनं भवति वा इति
possible. But then, see, the way Nilakanta Dikshita is trying to portray is he was already tamah pradhanaha eva saha iti. So his swabhava comes out.
सप्तऋषीन् एवं यदा नयत् सर्प इति वदन् भवति ते तं नयन्ति तादृशं तस्य शिबिकां नयन्ति तदा सर्प इति वदन् शापं प्राप्नोति अधः तत्र साधूनां यदा एवं कष्टं यच्छति तदा एव ईश्वरः तस्य
no he
ददाति
na kimartham tatra saptarishinam, why did he do that? Why did he make them bear the pallak illa? He parastri gamanam khalu tatra tattu mahapapam. He cannot do that.
पुनः सप्तऋषीन् सः एवं कारयति किल सज्जनान् एवं कारयति किल
Sajjanam Karayati iti Bhagavate. See, the thing is, before that, Mahapapa, one of the 5 Pancha Mahapatakeshu, Ekam Kartum Saha Udduktaha Asit. That is the first downfall. So, right? So, that is one thing to be considered. Yeah.
I'm चिन्तयामि जनानां धर्म मार्ग गमनार्थम् एतादृश विषयाः वस्तुतः बालकैः पठनीयाः
ज्ञातव्याः एव what is correct, what is wrong. Even people in higher positions can have a fall if they don't have dharma chintanam. So that is, this is like a padam madri la.
Astu Mahodaya, धन्यवादः.
Arun Kumar Mahodaya, you have a doubt?
தமோகுணம்னா என்ன அப்படின்னு ஆத்தர் சொல்லியிருக்காரு இல்ல?
தமோகுணம்னா புரியல
என்ன அப்படிங்கறத கவி ரொம்ப கிளியரா சொல்லியிருக்காரு. எல்லாமே தனக்குத்தான் ஆணுங்கிறது தமோகுணம். கரெக்ட்.
அந்த ஒரு செல்ஃபிஷ்னஸ் இருக்குல்ல. ஆமா.
அது ஸ்வர்க்கமா இருந்தாலும் சரி, பூலோகமா இருந்தாலும் சரி, எல்லாமே தனக்குத்தான் சொந்தம் நினைக்கிறது.
ஆமா. சந்தேகமே வேண்டாங்க. ஏன்னா இந்த இதை தாண்டி போகிறது, யூ ஹேவ் டு லெட் கோ. அகம் மமதா இல்லாம இருக்கணும்ல. அந்த காமக்ரோத லோப மோக மதமாத்சரியத்துக்கு உட்பட்டவாதான் எல்லாருமே சொர்க்கலோகத்துல இருக்கிற
பதவிங்கிறது கர்மாவை பொறுத்துதானே அமையிறது எல்லாருக்குமே. அப்போ அந்த காலத்துல எல்லாம் தமோ குணம் இருந்தா கூட அவங்களுக்கு எப்படி இந்திர பதவி கிடைச்சதுங்கிறது தான். சோ இப்ப கலியுகத்துல சொர்க்கத்துக்கு போறதுங்கிறதே ரொம்ப பெரிய விஷயம். ஏன்னா எந்த தீய கர்மாவும் இல்லாம நல்ல கர்மாவும் வச்சுட்டு அதை முடிக்கிறதுக்கு தான் நாம மேல போறோம். திரும்ப பூலோகத்துக்கு தான் வந்தாகணும். எந்த கர்மாவுமே இல்லைன்னாதான் முக்தி. அப்படி இருக்கும்போது அப்ப திரேதா யுகத்துல எல்லாம் எப்படி தமோ குணம் பிரதானமா இருந்தாலும் எப்படி அவங்க சொர்க்கத்துக்கு போனாங்க?
இது ஒரு சின்ன எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஒண்ணு சொல்லுவார் எங்க வாத்தியார். எப்படின்னா, see the amount of punya papam that you have, gahana karmano gatihi, number 1. நமக்கு we don't know the workings of karma, and the way அது ஒரு mesh மாதிரி நமக்கு பின்னாடி இருக்கு. யோசிச்சு பாருங்க. It's like a maze that is there. We don't know how which karma will come and act. No, the degree of karma that you have performed will result in that degree of punya papam that you are going to face, and the saukhyam that you are going to experience. Yeah. So எத்தனை இப்போ 1000 புண்ணியம், ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள், ஒரு 1000 புண்ணியம் பண்றோம், 1000 punya karma and 1000 papa karma are there. These two are not going to get cancelled and say balance sheet மாதிரி 0 னு வரப்போறது இல்ல balance. You will have to experience 1000 karma and 1000 papa karma also. அந்த பாபம் அனுபவிக்கிறச்சு you could be in a VIP jail, but you will still be in a jail, but it could be in a AC jail.
அவ்வளவுதான் சொல்றாரு இல்லையா? காஞ்சி மகாபெரிவர் சொல்றாருன்னா, பூலோகத்துல அதுக்கு உண்டான பலனை அனுபவிக்க முடியலன்னா அவங்க நரகத்துக்கோ சொர்க்கத்துக்கோ போய் அதை அனுபவிச்சு திரும்ப மத்த கொள்வதற்கு வராங்க. அதனால ஒரே கர்மாவுக்கு 2 வகையான பலன் இல்லை அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி சொல்றாங்க. நகுஷகை எப்படி இந்திர பதவிக்கு போனாங்கிறது தான் கேள்வி.
he is the son of அது யாரு, புரூரவஸ், ஆயுஷோட புள்ள. சந்திரன் புரூரவஸ்னுடைய புள்ள. புரூரவஸ் இஸ் ஊர்வசி புரூரவஸ் அந்த இல்லையா. அதுக்கப்புறம் அவனுடைய புள்ள ஆயுஷ் சன் இஸ் நகுஷா. சோ அந்த பரம்பரையே ஒரு அந்த யூஸ்வலி அந்த ஆன்சிஸ்ட்ரல் புண்ணியம்ங்கிறது ஒண்ணு வரும், டிசெண்ட் ஆகும். That will also act for him. That is there. இல்லையா? அது எதுன்னு நமக்கு சொல்ல தெரியல. அதனாலதான் பகவானே சொல்றாரு, எனக்கே கர்மாவனுடைய ஒரு போக்கு தெரியலன்னு விடுறாரு.
Now that you mentioned the lineage of Nahusha, I have been thinking all along that he himself is a big sarpa and the king of the Nagalokam.
அது ஒரு இன்னொரு நகுஷன். So there are 2 nahushas. One is he is a sarpa. The other is this nahusha who is Ayush's son.
Okay.
He is the one who then is born as a he immediately becomes a serpent because on the அகஸ்தியர் எல்லாம் வந்து சர்ப்பன்னு சொல்றாரு இல்லையா, அதனால.
Okay. அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் he becomes a Nagaloka king.
Probably.
Okay. That's possible. Thank you.
Okay. Namaste. Any other doubts? You can unmute yourself.
No question வந்து எனக்கு regarding the idea of Upendra.
Okay.
When Indra is not around, the Upendra can take over temporarily.
அது தெரியல. Upendra, the name comes, and Upendra is because he was born after Indra. அது வந்து வாமனருக்கு தான் அது பெயர்.
அதனால okay.
Aditi's son, Vishnu was born as Aditi's son, and he was Upa Indraha, in the sense he was born after அப்படின்னு, அதனால அவருக்கு உபேந்திரன்னு பேரு.
Okay. Okay.
ஏஷः நஹுஷः மஹதேவஸ்ய ஜாமாதா வ
கஸ்ய ஜாமாதா?
நஹுஷः ஈஸ்வரஸ்ய மஹதேவஸ்ய ஜாமாதா வ
மஹதேவஸ்ய ஜாமாதா வ தத்து ந ஜானே. ஆமான்னு நினைக்கிறேன். I think there is a Purana story like that.
Yes.
Yataha, I think Shiva and Parvati, they go to Swargalokam. She wants to go and see Nandanavanam, and when she sees Kalpataru, she asks, what tree is this? And Shiva says, this will give you anything, whatever you want. And so she says, I want a daughter. And immediately a daughter is born from that tree, and she is called Ashoka Sundari. I think Nahusha marries Ashoka Sundari. Correct.
Yes.
Oh, thanks for reminding, sir. So nice.
Thanks.
Any Prabhatji? Namaste.
Namaste, ma'am.
Namaste.
Ma'am, where we see this Nausa negations, right?
I didn't get your question.
This,
Not...
here, what we are seeing, ma'am, negations, Nausa, right?
Nahusha, you're breaking up constantly. If you can type out the question, I'll try to answer that. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
Yeah, now you're clear.
What I'm saying,
ரொம்ப இதுவா இருக்கு. You're breaking up too much and your question is not very clear.
I think using mobile data, not proper internet.
So it becomes tough for me to understand that. If you can, there is a question answer panel where you can type out your question, or you can send me.
Now I'm audible.
You're audible sometimes, but half of it I'm not able to hear. When you come to the question, it becomes very garbled.
Yeah, correct.
Right, ma'am. I will Come later, man. Okay. No.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. You can type out in the question and answer. There is a panel called question and answer. You can type out your question there also, and I will look at it and answer when I can. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Some of the questions and answers I did not follow because they were all in Sanskrit. I don't know whether you can spare a few more minutes to.
என்ன கேட்டார் நான் யோசிக்கிறேன். நஹுஷனுக்கு முன்னாடி who was in the Indra பதவின்னு ஒருத்தர் கேட்டார். So Indra is Indra himself, and then Nahusha came to that padavi because Indra was not there. So Indra is a person also, and his position is occupied by Nahusha later. After Nahusha, I don't know what happened. So Indra comes back to that position until some other fellow threatens to come. That's what one of the.
Yeah, the name Indra is Indra Padavi.
Also,
every Deva name is Deva Padavi.
Also, Ama.
Yeah.
So in one kalpam, even Brahma is supposed to be a position. So there is one thing that you can Hanuman is going to be the next Brahma abdinla irukku. So Brahma padavi is also Oh, Nahusha is given in this negative sense. So same story goes in Skanda Puranam. So Skanda Puranam, I am not sure. I have not checked Skanda Puranam. Nahusha is definitely given in the negative sense in you have the story in Mahabharata. It is there in I think Padma Puranam. Padma Puranam also it is there. I am not sure about Skanda Puranam. I will check it out and let you know. Everywhere you will find this part, not this exactly, but the part where Nahusha wants to approach Shachi Devi, the Indrani. He wants her for himself. He does not want her to wait for Indra. So he wants her to marry him. And she devises this plan and she says, you ask the Saptarishis to take you. As a bridegroom, you will have to approach me in a, palanquin borne by the Saptarishis. And he makes the Saptarishis carry him on his shoulder. And he goes, as he is walking, Agastya is a shorter person there. And so we are going to have that story in the next few shlokas. And he will say, Sarpa Sarpa, move faster. And Agastya will give him the curse of Sarpo Bhava. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure about Skanda Puranam, but yes, Nahusha is a negative person. He is a representative of the negative person. That's why he says Tamah Pradhanam. Okay. Any other questions? We'll meet next week. Okay. Namasundara Nathaya Tasmai Halasya Vasine Chatushishti Vidhalila Yenakari Bhuvasthale.